Hey guys, welcome back to Sword of Convallaria. In today's video, we have rallied the troops. I actually hit these boys up. These boys were all making content before the launch of the game, and I hit them up and we were going to do a pre-launch sort of like little podcast episode going through our thoughts and stuff, and it was too hard to organize. So we are doing it now. This is a good time. We're going to look at just general chat about the game, talk about underrated heroes and stuff like that, our thoughts on the game, any tips we have in general that can help players out and stuff like that. But we're going to go through one at a time, let these guys introduce themselves. I will have their links in the description and the pinned comment. Make sure you go show these guys some loves, doing some great stuff and great content out there for the game as well. So we'll go straight across to the platypus. Dude, I try saying your name every time, just like tongue twist me, but the platypus was like my favorite animal growing up, so I love it.
His favorite animal, favorite color. My girlfriend's like, why not just do that? I was like, all right. But most people say the purple platypus or the and so whatever is honestly fine with
me. That's it, man. Any other intros you want to give?
No, I mean, I obviously everyone knows who I am already, so we should get to the others.
Everyone.
Yeah, all right then, RJ.
Yeah, so my name creation story is not that cool. Like, I was playing EverQuest in like 1999, and I wanted to name myself Orin, like after the Final Fantasy X character. That name was taken. I put another N on it, still taken. Threw a J on the end. That went through, and that's been my name ever since.
That is actually a brilliant name origin story. I love that because my name came from a randomizer name in WoW that I changed like 2 letters in.
That's actually pretty good for like a random name generator, honestly. Like,
yeah. I honestly, for a while, I thought it was some sort of take on you were trying to do really weird way of spelling orange. I was like, it's orange.
I thought that too. Yeah.
A lot of people think that. Nope, it's just that. That's the true story of it. So yeah, there we go.
Best Final Fantasy character. All right, I'll throw down over that.
Sweet. Yeah. Okay, that's me.
He's up there. He's up there.
And what's your origin story, Showtime?
So I used to be Showtime 17 on AOL because I was 17 years old, and then I couldn't get that name. So my brother was just like, "You're now Showtime Doctor." It's like, all right.
I mean, the doctor probably works well because otherwise you would have had to change the number every year and it would have just got awkward.
Yeah.
And people would have like, wait, are you the new version or are you like someone different? Or we
keep upgrading. We keep upgrading. So.
All right. So let's get into it. The first thing I just want to say is like, what's your guys feel on the launch week of the game? How it was delivered, any feedback or issues you've had and stuff like that in first up. We'll start with you, Platypus.
Yeah, so far, the initial impressions of the game are quite a bit more positive than I even expected. I mean, I've been playing 4 hours a day purely on stream, and then I've been playing outside of stream, and I haven't been close to being done with content after a week, right? I've almost not even touched Spiral of Destiny, which is a huge time sink in itself. As far as things like slight things, like there's still some messes up with like some translations are like iffy, where I'm like, this ability does not do at all what it says. But for the most part, like as far as content wise, the whole structure of the game, I've been a huge fan so far, and I'm loving it.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, are you guys, and just quickly, just around the table, are you guys like reading story or are you skipping?
Yeah. I saw a bunch of the story on closed beta, but I skipped until chapter 5. Now I'm reading it again.
Yeah, in the story mode, I read the story. In the gacha mode, I skip a lot of the stuff that I feel like is filler.
Yep. All right. Yeah. I skip absolutely everything. I'm just going to play it. So I just want to get that reference so people know what we're looking at. How about you, RJ? How do you feel the launch?
Yeah. So I actually anticipated not enjoying the gacha side as much. I know I just said I like skip most of the story, but like I have actually enjoyed Tower. I've enjoyed like the character building process. There's an asterisk. There's an asterisk there. But like the fact that like epic characters are so useful in this game just opens up all these different like team comp building options. That's been my favorite thing. And then the fact that the is it Spiral of I can't remember the name of anything ever. Is it Spiral of Destinies? Is that the like RPG mode?
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So like I love how in that it literally has the gacha part of this game just has zero impact on that at all, because even the characters that you get in there The skills are all different. You could get like epic rarity, normal character from the gacha and then build them however you want. And so it's a completely fresh take on it. And then I like to do like RP playthroughs where I'm like, I'm only playing with people from this faction no matter what. And so I'll bring from my gacha like not like the highest rarity characters, but just characters that I like just to replay. Yeah, I don't know. So I've liked all of that. And then the launch was smooth. There like wasn't a bunch of technical difficulties. It just went off pretty well, and yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was pretty smooth too. How about you, Showtime?
Yeah, XD did a good job, especially considering the rush that they were under and the team size and 5 million downloads. It wouldn't surprise me if they hit 10 million by the end of the month. And they're doing a really good job, in my opinion. I've had so much fun. There's so much more there than it was in closed beta. And even in spiral mode, I got like this crazy mage that has infection. When she puts up infection, she puts up laceration and whatever the other dot is. And she's got AoE, Scorch, AoE and single target, so she can just stack 10% damage dots on everything. It's hilarious.
Yeah, and I think they the one thing I think they're doing well is they're just chucking in a lot of little events, and it was an interesting one because I've seen complaints about it and I've seen positives about it. Like the events aren't active enough and they're just like login events. But on the flip side, there is so much to do in the game that I think having events that are too active at the launch of the game like this, it just becomes too much. Like I have not had time, because obviously I play other games and stuff. I haven't had time to push tower this week, which last week I spent a lot of time trying to climb the tower as best I could. And now it's like I pushed once on one day and I just haven't been able to get back to it. I'm like, if they had like really intensive events and stuff right now, I'd be kind of like too strapped for time on trying to get it done. So I think they've done a really good balance between what the game has and what they've been adding to it through events and just giving us free shit through logins and stuff like that. Do you guys agree, or would you like to see other events and stuff like that?
Yeah, I want one. No one has the stamina for events right now, right? The events aren't going to be stamina free if they add stages, right? They're going to require stamina for some sort of in-game currency for a limited time shop. So I don't want that right now. Like I'm trying to level my account with all kinds of other stuff, push Fool's Journey and that stuff. But I guess maybe 3-4 weeks in, that might be a good time where everyone's kind of like getting to like, I don't know, maybe you're level 40, 45 and it takes a couple days to get any like stuff. That's when it's going to be good to add those kinds of events. But right now it's like, right, there was just like a tower event added yesterday or whatever at reset. Some people haven't got it because it's based on when you created your account. Then another one like a couple days before for this and that. And so right now it just feels like every day I log in, there's like a little treat, like num 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 num. So I love the way they're doing it right now.
Yeah, sick. And you guys got anything else to add to that?
Events, yeah, like I feel like right now the game's in this. Okay, so like the game's in this weird space right now. If you've been playing since day one, because I feel like we've hit such a wall in progression where you have to just throw your energy at farming stuff every day. So what I wish there was an event that was like a farming event where it gave you something to farm that was like meaningful. Do you know what I mean?
I made a video like 2 days ago, which I can't remember what I titled it, but the thumbnail says like they're all trash or something like that, and it just means like everything you dump stamina into just feels like a waste unless there's a first clear or a bonus drops going on. Like they all just feel like horrible. But I think they give you so much resources through events that's like the main structure of rewarding. So they reward you for coming back for events, and the main reward in spending your stamina is literally just to level up so that you can unlock more voyage memento, unlock more stuff. That's the way it feels like it's structured. Whether that's right, I don't know. But yeah, it feels so average dumping stamina. And like if I'm busy and I'm like, okay, I've got a couple Fool's Journey stages I could do, but I'm busy, I've just got to dump this stamina because not using it is the worst thing I could possibly do. And I just feel you feel so guilty for not having the time to push an extra Fool's Journey stage because sometimes I just can't auto them.
Yeah, we're kind of in the honeymoon phase right now. So them giving us events that give us bonus rewards, but there's also stuff for the people that are whaling if you want to get the skins. And there's stuff for the hardcores. There's stuff if you're just casual. So I think they hit all of those very well for the launch period. And don't worry, because they're catching us up and there's going to be events. So don't worry about that.
Yeah, that's one thing. How do you guys feel about the fact that we've got the CN Taiwanese version and you already know everything that's coming? Like that's always a big a big negative on games for me personally. It's just like some people love it, some people hate it. Like some people love the fact that I get to plan out exactly what I'm going to pull for units this far ahead. But for me, it's also like there's no excitement in new stuff because it's all telegraphed. How do you guys feel about that side of things?
I mean,
Yes.
I always find it kind of a 50-50 where it's like it's nice for free-to-play players to be able to more accurately plan out their stuff because like if you're up to date, something new comes out, it seems like the biggest, most powerful thing, and then a month later, that's the biggest powerful thing where so it's nice for foresight, but I also feel like it if it's too far ahead, people kind of get too high and mighty about this is the meta. This is what good. There is no room for testing stuff for it's already been solved. And so I'm always big against that because no one talked about epic units before the launch, really. People only talked about, Beryl, Cole, and Gloria. And then like, oh, here's the bottom tier Guzman, lol.
Dude, I was
think
looking
he's
for a
good.
tier. I was looking like because when I do team building videos, I like to do it in a tier list format where I just drag the characters up because it's just really quick and easy. I couldn't find a tier list that had anything besides the legendaries, and I'm like, this is not helping me. Yeah, no, like there was no mention of anything besides legendaries.
Yeah, and that a huge part of the meta, at least in PvE. Again, PvP is kind of it's not real right now in the sense you're fighting AI and you could just stomp lower level accounts,
Which is good for the
but
current state of the game with how much there is to do. I
Yes.
don't want to be manualing PvP.
Exactly. But in like once you get higher level PvE and tower and stuff, like the meta just changes. Like Cole is like a straight up F tier unit once you get to a certain level because they just can't deal any damage to anything, right? And that doesn't mean Cole is bad, but specifically in high end PvP, I would rather have Outlaw Archer on my team 9 times out of 10 than the actual legendary unit. And I feel like because we had so much foresight, I mean, people just like they kind of ignore all the current state of the game and only look forward in a lot of ways.
Yeah, well, I think a lot of the structured stuff that comes from the CN community is based on being max level, and so obviously once you get to max level, you can just like Cole will one tap a unit in the highest level tower. Like that's what I'm assuming it works, and so that's where you get that progression. But you go, Aaron.
So like I have access, and I don't know who has this, but I have access to like the test realm. And so I have every legendary piece of gear, all the characters fully duped out.
Wow.
And like I just put a team together where I was like, okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this team and try to just farm legendary.
All right, guys, sorry about that. We are using a new software thingy to record. I only bought the stingy $15 a month plan, had to upgrade to the $50. Now, hopefully we can record for a longer period of time. But RJ, sorry, man, we cut you off with that. You were saying how you just, on the test server, you slapped together a team.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I was talking about how like the in-game PvE in this game is actually crazy. Like so I played a lot of War of the Visions, which is another tactical RPG. In that game, you can you can throw your meta characters in a team, hit auto, and you're like, regardless of what the enemy throws at me, I will just like roll them over with numbers. And this game just does not function like that at the end game. Like using all of the different characters that you have like matters so much. And the elemental, I don't know what to call them, elemental, whatever, the breaker into the tank, those advantages matter so much more in this game than like other games I've played. And I think that's a good thing. At the end of the day, that's what I was talking about. I don't remember what the context was, but that's what I was saying. So
no, that's perfectly fine because we were talking about how like people only really spoke about like the legendary units and like some of the lower rarity units are huge because it is definitely more tactical based, and it feels like the way I'd look at it is I feel like at this stage if you're trying to push high into the tower, it's like you get one shot by anything, so you've got to play 100% perfect. Whereas when you get later on, you might be able to take 1 or 2 hits and not lose the game because of it. And I feel like that's going to be the big difference as we move forward. But having said that, I do think I'm curious to see where they take the real-time arena because I think that could be really, really fun. And then you'll get a lot more bursty units having functionality because you don't have that stat difference between you and a PvE enemy. And so when you're at even stats, then your damage counts a lot more.
Oh my God. I hope they don't allow the tactical powers in a sense. Like I kind of like that in a lot of stuff, but like Cole with an extra 2 movement with a Gloria is like, I don't even want to see that in real time PvP. Keep that away from me. That's going to be so gross.
Like War of the Visions had real time PvP at launch. And one of our first banner characters was a missile unit. And like the meta was go stand in a corner while everybody runs at you and then launch long range attacks and they die. And like playing against that was so like I was like, well, I just hate manual PvP now because like I don't like to run at Frederica while she shoots me from across the map. And so like it just turned me off of it. So I wish that War of the Visions had something where I could be like, no, my assassin has teleport across the map behind you ability. And now, okay.
Yeah.
I'll take coal metal over Nungal metal any day of the week, honestly.
From what I've seen of real-time PvP on the Taiwan servers, a lot of it is just like kill boxes and choke points. You set up ice walls and all types of crazy things.
Yeah.
And there's little barrels and stuff you can hit down. Yeah.
I'd be curious, because there's always a different map that's on over there. I'd be curious to see the standard arena map with real-time PvP. I think that would be interesting, but we'll have to wait and see. But seeing as we were talking about different units and stuff, I want to get your guys take on your favorite off-meta unit, like one unit that everyone like can look at, and if they have it, or maybe they all have it, they can build it and test it out and get some use out of it. We'll start with you, Platypus.
Okay, I mean, I'm actually going to subvert expectations here, I think, and not talk about Outlaw Archer, which is pretty much, it's like in my top 3 favorite units in the whole game. Absolute versatile powerhouse. But one unit that I swear, when you go into the epics, I've never heard anyone talk about at all. I've heard Lightning, I've heard, Abyss, I've heard Lash, but Nightingale is like straight up the best of the best. Once you get to 35, if you're not 35 yet, Nightingale does kind of blow. But quick highlight here, what she actually does. She has a Molotov cocktail bomb. It works exactly the same as Barrel's firewall, but it's a 3x3 square instead of a line. So it's actually better.
I don't have it to show. I don't have it.
Better than Barrel's firewall in specific situations, because you could throw it in front of them and they'll walk through it to get to you. So it's actually easier to proc multiple times on a single character. It only costs 1 energy. The only reason it's not strictly better, it does 10% damage. Then it creates a 3x3 square of Scorch while also scorching them. And it has a 3-turn cooldown. That's the big drawback of it. But it's on Nightingale. If you have a dying character, she gets all of her cooldowns twice as fast. She gets a -2, so she could use it every other turn. So constantly keep it up. And that's not even her best ability, in my opinion. Her other best ability, she has Tranquilizer, which is an adjacent square, instant speed, put a target to sleep. So you can move up to someone with 2 energy, put someone to sleep for 2 turns, throw your Molotov at a different group, and now you've CC'd a guy. You've done a % damage to a bunch of other characters, and that's only 2 of her abilities. Those are the ones I use the most. But she's also got Weapon Corrosion, 30% damage, attack down 2, magic attack down 2. At a range of 3. She's a beast. And if there's a dying unit, she gets +2 movement and lowers her cooldowns. She's ridiculously strong. And I haven't heard anyone talk about her, like, at all.
No, I didn't realize she had sleep. Like, I just missed that.
Dude, I'm going to have to do some summons to get her now.
Yeah, you got to go pull for an epic unit.
This is actually killing me. I'm like,
I still don't have Blade.
Okay, and the problem is, and this is the other problem, none of even the Billy databases have anything but legendary characters on them.
Yep.
Like, there's no filled out database for any of these characters, so you literally have to pull them at the moment to go ahead and actually look at their skills. But that is a cracked kit. How about you, Orange? What's your pick?
Okay, so mine, I actually am going to go with a legendary unit. It's another person that I hear no one ever talk about, but I really like Tidon, the Knight faction tank unit. They're like or what do we call it? Like very light blonde hair earlier. The very light blonde hair, white beard guy. And his whole thing is he just sets up zones. Like after every turn, he sets up a little like 3x1 zone in front of him, and he AoE attacks anything that walks into that. He hits pretty hard, and then he can set up bigger zones.
Actually, you can probably share your screen if you want to as well, and you can show it.
Show the character. Ooh, okay, I'll try.
You're a genius.
Yeah, there should be a tab down the bottom that says share screen, and then you can pick the window and just pick your game.
The window. Okay, here we go. I shared it.
Wait, let me put it on.
Hey, there we go. Okay, so
look at this.
All right. So his trait creates this area in front of him, right? And so anybody that walks in that area, 60% AoE damage, and it procs every time. Like it's not like a 1 proc and then it's done. So if somebody walks into it and procs it, they take the damage. Then their friend walks into it, procs it, he takes the damage again, and the new guy takes the damage. And he does insane DPS. The AI is awful at this guy. awful because the AI has no idea. They'll just face him in the like off a cliff and he'll AoE his zone off the cliff. And then you get this, the Shield of Sanction, which is another alert ability, and it does 100% damage and stuns somebody who walks in there. So you could just set this up on like a choke or to protect your backline. And I just think it's insane. His problem is the AI sucks with them, which is a problem. And it's everything he has is like really, he's kind of energy intensive, I've found. Like this costs 3, which is a lot.
Yeah,
But I
if you
just
don't
like
have any
tank
regeneration in your kit, yeah.
yeah. Well, like energy regeneration is hard to get in this game. It's hard.
Yeah, it's barrel and candlelight. Those are the two that are really going to be good for that.
Yeah. Now, Platypus, did you want to share yours and we can take a look at your character? Because I actually want to check this kit out now.
So just to take a look at her kit, her trait is actually, it seems hard to get off, but when you're on a high level tower, it's really not. AoE damage decreased by 20%, that's kind of whatever. But if there's another ally within 6 tiles and they're dying, she gets a huge speed boost. It goes up to, I think, 200 or 300 at 5-star, 2 movement tiles, and all of her cooldowns get decreased by a turn. And when you get up to, I think, 5-star, it's down by 2 turns. So she could actually use her Molotov cocktail every single turn, just like Barrel's Firewall, with even less energy and more movement and more speed. Now, getting an ally dying sounds kind of hard, but there are multiple units such as KA Soldier, the guy with the shield. He has an ability where if he takes lethal damage, he heals to 5% HP and he just doesn't die. So that's a very easy way to instantly get her, as long as you ensure he doesn't take too many hits. But as far as looking at her abilities here, Weapon Eroder, right? Piercing damage equal to 30% of target's max HP. It doesn't say max, but that's what it does. Attack down 2, which is both physical and magic.
Yeah.
And then Tranquilizer, look at this ability. Instant support skill, inflicts sleep on target for 2 turns. Absolutely busted. And then Burning Grenade, piercing damage equal to 10% of their HP to all enemies within a tile around the target. So it's a range of 3. So it can actually hit like 1, 2, 3, like 4 tiles away in a big old box. And it does burning for 2 tiles. I mean, and she's got other stuff, but she's got a healing kit, but like don't touch the healing kit. It's fine. You can get actual good stuff instead of these healing kits. Although,
and that's the great thing about the talent system. And this is why like everyone's like, what talents do I pick for this character? It's like my best recommendation is just read through it and pick something that you feel works. I do wish they had like a 7-day timer on talents that you could swap them for 7 days so you could test it and then it locks in. But I do actually like the finality of the decisions, but I do think there needs to be that period of grace for it.
I think it might be Abyss. There's a character I have like 6 talents in the first 3 levels. I'm just like, God, it's like I felt so bad because I hate the stupid system. Because like I was like, I'm not gonna follow a guide. I'm just gonna do my thing. I think it's like Abyss. Like I got both of these. No. I got both of these because I was like, oh, this buffs Guzman. Then I was like, oh, Dark Ripple's literally absolutely broken. And this one, I'm like, okay, who? But then it's like I can't use Dark Ripple unless I have the regeneration. And so
there's 2 sort of builds you can go with. You can go with spamming that AoE one, which you need the energy regeneration, or you can go the pure debuffing one, and then you need the other tree. And that's the awkward thing. But I do like it. You can pick one, and then if you want to unlock the other one, cool. But I hate that you don't have that leeway to change your decision. But
and I almost took this because this also inflicts sleep, so I want this ability too. It's like Abyss is brutal on those spheres because I want them all, and then that's not even including legendary units.
Yep. How about you, Doctor? Have you got one that you want to go through?
Yeah. Let me share my screen. Okay,
I knew someone was going to get into Priest. Yep.
Yes. So last week, 5-5 was a challenge for a lot of people until we figured out that we could push them all in the drink. So Papel Ice Priest, what's crazy about, and there's also a Darklight Ice Priest that is very similar, but Papel has a push. Now, when you figure out finally that when you have ice on the ground, you can actually push people as far as the ice is, so 5 squares, whatever it is, it's pretty crazy. And she just has so many cool things where you got a single target slow, which is nice. Her passive, she puts defense up, so makes her team a little bit tankier, very good for tower. She decreases AoE damage taken in an aura, so that enabled a lot of people to farm like the level 50 bosses, even though they're still in their level 30s. And Of course, you got your damage reduction stuff. And then she has just like a big AoE. You can choose between that and the line. But essentially, she's putting up frost all over the place. So you can now come in with your glory or whoever your push units are, lure them a certain way, and then just smash them down the cliff or whatever it is.
And the thing to note is when it says ice, it means it puts ice down on the field. When I read those kits, because like on like day one, people like check out the ice priest. I'm like, they seem kind of mid because on the fire one, like on the fire attacks, it says puts down the flaming tile, and I'm like, wait, just having that ice in brackets means they're putting ice ground down. And then you look at, I chose the straight line one because I wanted the reach, but like this is the kind of character that I'll probably unlock multiple. But yeah, like the ice is just so powerful in this game.
Yeah, it messes with movement, so they're limited on their movement. You set them up a certain way, and you know how it goes from there.
And you can also make them path around it. Like they will often avoid the ice if they can, and it's how you can sort of corral them into choke points that you want to get them in due to the ice. Yeah.
Well, I've seen people run.
Think about like manual PvP someday. You start laying all that ice down, people are going to be like, "Wait a sec, what are you doing? Like, what do I step on? Do I want
Darklight Ice Priest here? This is one of the most broken units at level 35.
Dude, the freeze skill, what is it, 2-turn freeze?
Yeah, it's the top left one here. It gives movement -3. Like most units can't even move. If they already have movement down, then they become frozen for 2 turns, which is arguably worse if you're mostly a physical damage team. But there's a lot of units you give them move -3, and they're just like they just stand there like a big dummy.
Yeah. So with these and the bandits that Per Platypus has been using a lot, I've seen entire teams with just the 2 bandits, the 2 ice priests, and maybe like Beryl or whoever's relevant for that tower. And people are just demolishing tower once they learn these strats now. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, you just completely box out with those units. And like I said, the first one people started telling me about was the Papal Ice Priest. And I looked at that max skill on the Dark Priest. I'm like, yeah, this guy's got something cooking too. But the pushback is huge on the other one. Like the pushback is the big thing that he has that the other one doesn't have. But yeah, I think in general.
Also, PayPal Ice Priest is the highest speed in the game. He's at like 280 or something. He goes before everything.
Yeah, and speed does become very, very relevant in those those towers because like you need to have the right speed tuning, like because it does eventually become a sort of you've got to hit the right obstacle first. It becomes like that true tactical type thing as opposed to have a better team. It's like you've got to be speed tuned that. Maybe you need him to push someone or put the ice down first before so that the others can't reach others. And
7-5 was a good example because you had a real fast Mytha that you need to trap right away.
Yes. And you put him on the right side, he runs up and knocks it and then boxes her in. Yeah, but he's fantastic.
It doesn't say it in his traits or anywhere, but by having that 270 speed, it also allows you to use your tactical powers before anything else, because there's nothing worse than there's like, I'm going to use March Order, I'm going to use Urgent Order, and then they just go first and they one-shot your unit. So you get to do this in the beginning. You could suddenly teleport your unit out of danger, because some of these placements, you're within range of getting one-shot on the very first turn of combat. So
yeah, and absolutely. And even with some of them, like some maps, like I'll take like often I'm taking this one, but sometimes I'll take this one if there's a barrel. And sometimes if you're not using a fast enough unit, you can't blow up the barrel and like bring like 3 of them down to 20% HP. So that, having a fast unit is super handy for that type of stuff. I definitely agree. But yeah, I think there's just so many good, valuable, low rarity units. Like, and that's something else I love about this game. Is how easy it is to build up characters. I don't know if you guys find that. Like that is like my biggest tip, especially in the early game. Maybe once we get like past 40, it becomes less like you start getting starved on experience. But like pre-level 35 up to level 35, you can level so many characters up because the leveling material isn't the choke point. It's more the gear leveling material. So you just swap that gear around, get one of each weapon built, and then like you can just play around with anyone you want to and just try out all these strategies. Whereas a lot of games brick you from doing that and you can't even test units. But I think this game does a fantastic job at that. Do you guys agree, or have you guys had a nuisance with that?
100%. I've had no issue. I have every unit on my account almost like level 35. There's some that are level 1 like Flare, because I think Flare is just kind of dog water. I don't know what I would use them for. But outside of that, like any unit I have even a slight interest in, I just level them up to 35. If they're below, if they're silver or copper, whatever, bronze, they get all of their abilities that they get access to. So they feel fully built. And honestly, for a lot of these strategies, you don't even need equipment on these units, right? They're not like actually better because they're already getting one shot with your level 40 gear. So what's the point of having gear on them at all? So yeah, it's been really easy to build up characters.
It does it does make me worry a little bit though. Like I think the ability to, and I'm going to use the word cheese, and I don't have a better vocabulary word for it. But I like when you can cheese. I don't like when you have to cheese. And I like the idea, like I like playing front to back, like MMO style. I got a tank, I got a healer, I'm going to position my damage units, and I'm going to like unload. And sometimes that's how I want to play. And on maps when the only way to win is like knock characters off ledges at a certain time, like that relies on the AI being incredibly stupid, which it is. And so like you feel like a mastermind because you're like, man, I'm like 4D chessing, but you're 4D chessing a toddler who's like, my units go forward. And you're like, yeah, you're an idiot. You're like, what? I layer down 4 AoEs and like dots, and your units are just walking through it like, here I come. And then like, they stand next to ledges and you're like, gotcha, boom. And like, so I like that. I like when that's an option, but if that's and like right now, like I was saying, we're in this weird spot in the game where we're all stuck in the mid game. And so like we kind of have to do this to win, but I really hope that at the end it's still viable, but you can also play barrel as a DPS character instead of a mana battery for your cheese units.
It's a little... I was going to say, it's a little weird. It kind of feels like Wile E. Coyote and Roadrunner, for those of you that watched Looney Tunes back in the day. They're like, oh no, there's some ice, swoop! And like all that falling off the cliff and everything. And I'm hoping that once we do get max level and we got maxed out gear, 5-star characters and all that type of thing, it's going to level out to be more normal. But we'll see. I don't know, because I know on the Taiwan server, there's not a lot of people other than maybe Divine Grace and Angel using epic or below units on the other tower that's eventually going to pop up along with other in-game stuff. So I guess we'll have to see if we can actually cheese that or not.
If every PvE strat becomes a cheese strat, that it is an issue. If some players will like it, but it basically becomes a puzzle game, right? It's not really using RPG. I have a tank, I have a healer, DPS, debuff. It's all just like, all right, how can I manipulate the AI to make them die without me dying? Like I shouldn't be able to bring a level, 10 outlaw archer and be able to kill all the level 65s. And there's an aspect of that I love, actually. Like I really love, but I don't always want to play a puzzle game either. The last Dragon Quest Tact, what I played, they went all in. You had to cheese everything, always. You had to max out units. You couldn't overpower anything. You always had to do rolls on RNG based off specific movements. Like I have to move this unit to this square because it makes this guy line up with this, and now I can kill. It's like it was all cheese, and that did not carry well into the game's dead now, right? Like it wasn't fun a year into it.
And I think with this game, it's more the fact it happens in every game where if you're under leveled for the content, cheese is the only way. And so once we get to max level, I think we will have the option to just like brute force. And I think that's what most people are waiting for, because it is like, it's a massive time sink to cheese these stages. Like, it's like, it's just too much time for me. And I'm just like, dude, I've got like 3 hours tomorrow that I can push tower. Besides that, I'm just going to skip it for this week and reassess next week. Cause it is such a time sink, unless you're like copying some strategies or something like that. But I like thinking through these things myself, but it's also like, yeah, dude, this is a massive, massive time sink. But I think in general, the tower is a good thing. I really love the tower. It's actually a really fun mode. Maybe it becomes less fun at the end, but once again, they do have the additional tower, which I don't know when we'll get it, but that will also be like another fun challenge. And I'm hoping that becomes more of the challenge that what Oren's talking about with, now you need like a properly built team. Stats kind of matter. You still want to be able to do the cheese and for it to add to your gameplay, but not be the core gameplay. So we'll have to wait and see. But I think we're getting close on timelines for everyone because we had so many technical difficulties setting up. But I want to finish this one. Do you guys have one tip or suggestion you give to players that one you found useful or you think might bring people more enjoyment in the game? Like I said, my big one is level different units. Yes, look at what people recommend for talents. but read them yourselves and come up with stuff, because the game has so many varied ways to play it that different talents on different characters, depending on who you're teaming them up with, can be a massive difference. It's kind of like when you look at general recommendations of pick this character's basic attack that has a dispel, because there's a lot of buffs to dispel. But if you've already got 2 other characters with that ability in your team, well, maybe you bring the other one and you've got something to do. So I just think exploring the game and building up other characters is just like the best thing you can do for enjoyment and also to help you progress.
So I would say focus on learning the core mechanics of the game. The game does a decent job of explaining a lot of it, but there's a lot that I actually think you either need to experience yourself or you need to ask questions. Like, did you know if an enemy has physical shield, they're immune to move down abilities, effects being put on them? I didn't know that.
I literally didn't know that till you just said it.
Yeah, there's a one line of text in the game that says if an enemy has physical shield, they are immune to some debuffs. That's all the context. What debuffs? Apparently moved down, I found after having to use a bunch of... I'm like, why is this guy not getting slowed? Why is he not getting slowed? Also, and like you said, with the fire attack, the ice attack leaves a bunch of ice everywhere when you use an AoE ice attack. The thing is, the fire attack does the same. However, it only does it on tiles that can be burning without a special ability that bypasses that. So like if you use a AoE fire attack on a bunch of grass, it will all burn as if you used an ice attack there in the same way. But if you read like gravel, it's immune to burning. But abilities that specifically say it'll catch a tile on fire will burn it, even if it says immune to burning. There's a lot of stuff like that. Also, last thing, there's an ability that sounds bad. It's like this character heals 5% life when a character dies in combat or something. It's called like resolve. It's like one time per combat, heals 5% HP when a character dies. That's like it, not verbatim, but that's almost what it says.
It reads as one time per battle. That's how it reads.
Yes, but what it actually does is when this character takes fatal damage, they self-revive at 5% HP. Way better ability than the nonsense that when you read it, so don't be afraid to ask questions, look into the mechanics, don't assume you know how these things work, because there's a lot of nuances that aren't apparent, super clear up front.
Definitely. Play the game, get destroyed because you don't understand something, and then you learn to understand it. Is like, because a lot of these things you're not going to find out until it doesn't work, and you're like, why doesn't it work? But definitely getting around, checking these guys' videos out as well, and looking for tips is super helpful for that. How about you, Aaron?
So, okay, I guess like my advice would be, and this would be kind of just general gacha advice, is anytime you're playing a gacha game, like don't let the gacha mechanic be your favorite thing or your least favorite thing about the game. Just like know it's part of the game and you're going to roll on it. And especially in a game like this, like it's going to give you something. You're going to get something, and just take that something and be like, this is my account, and then go enjoy that. And I think this is a game I've played where you can lean into that more than about anything else, because there's almost no useless characters in this game. And so any new thing that you get, you could go learn it and actually have a good time with it. If you don't want to spend a whole bunch of money, if you want to spend a whole bunch of money, the world's your oyster, whether you're playing gacha games or going to Target. But like, that's my thing, and that's I try to take that with me from game to game. So
I definitely agree with that, and the big one on that is like how many of these lower rarity units are good. It's like, just think about that with all these low rarity units, and then you've got all these other legendary units which are more unique, give your account more of an identity, because everyone's got Gloria by this stage. Most people have either Beryl or Cole, but then all those other units, they're fun units that you can make strategies that other people don't get to play with. And I think that's the cool thing about this game is, yes, even though they may not be tier 0 on a tier list, they're still cool characters, and you can still make them work, and they can still be a hell of a lot of fun. That's like my favorite character on my Taiwanese playthrough was, what's her face? What's the sniper chick? I've forgotten her name. Nungo. She was so fun, and I just loved playing as her, and she was a great character in general. But yeah, like whoever you pull, just because they're a low tier unit, definitely give them a crack. How about you, Showtime?
Yeah, I would say 2 things. Figure out what is fun for you. What's fun for you might not be fun for the majority of players out there. So if you're really into the single player experience, yeah, Spiral's there for you. You could reset it a couple times and maybe roll something that it's a unique playthrough, like, oh, I'm going to run all Papel units and see how they do when they're doing the Papel state missions or whatever it is. You can role play if you're into waifus. Just figure out what that is. Don't be super concerned about the meta, because the meta got blown up pretty amazingly so far as the cheese units. Like we said, like a week and a half ago, a lot of us had no idea that like Bandit Archer and Papel Ice Priest were going to be carrying us into the later parts of the tower, let alone all types of farming dungeons and stuff like that. So figure out what works for you. You can be creative about it. Take some time to sit down and actually read the skills. And if you don't understand the skill, we got a whole community here. Obviously, the gentlemen that are all on this panel will help you. And even if it's just we don't make a video on it, but you ask questions, we'll respond. Yeah, you can come to our live streams, you can come to the comments, you can come in our discords, etc. And yeah, just enjoy the game. Don't feel rushed. Don't feel like you have to have every meta unit. Don't feel like, oh no, I don't have enough currency, so now maybe I should, just have fun. That's the number one thing you're supposed to do with a video game.
Yeah, see, and now as I look at every unit and I look at their like tiering on the CN Taiwanese tier list, I'm reading through every character very carefully and thinking how they will function in PvP. And that's what I'm going to base my personal pulling decisions on, because the PvE, if a character's tier 0 or tier 0.5 or tier 1, you're still going to clear the PvE. And PvP is where, if they do go lean more heavily into the real-time arena, which I would love, that's where I want my units to be pulled for. Whereas a lot of the tier lists are based on max level PvE content. So just keep that in mind when you look at that stuff. Pick stuff you think you'll enjoy in the content you want to enjoy. And that's probably just like tailing off of Showtime's point there. But is there any other final things you guys want to do before we wrap this up?
I mean, I would just add to Showtime's point that even looking at those tier lists that are 7-8 months ahead of ours, there's launch characters in tier 0 still, and there's new characters that are in not the top tier. So they didn't do the thing that games do where they're like, hey, guess what? In 2 months, we are releasing literal God. And then 2 months later, we're releasing literal God's dad. And then
God's grandpa.
Do that. So if you have units now that you like, you can ride them for a while. And that's really nice. So, yeah.
Platypus?
No, I mean, I was just going to say I'm happy. Thank you guys for, all getting together and doing this. I've had a wonderful time. One of the main reasons I wanted to do this is I feel like a lot of things I've done in the past, just a lot of content creators aren't always buddy. It's like, oh, we're fighting each other for views or something. And I like just, showing everyone that it's like, no, it's like, we're all just cool. A rising tide lifts all boats, I think is the saying. I had to look it up after I screwed it up last time I was talking about it.
A rising boat lifts all. Yeah, that's right. yeah. No, that's cool. But yeah, I think next time I'll be more organized. Like I said, this was my first take using this software, but I think it worked pretty well. But yeah, we'll definitely try and do this. Maybe once a month, every couple of weeks, something like that. Get other people on, something like that, just to have a chat. I've been enjoying making these types of videos on all my channels at the moment, so I'm really enjoying this stuff. Once again, guys, all the links will be in the description. Go give these guys a sub. Go show them some love. I see you guys pumping out multiple videos a day at the moment currently as well. So there's plenty of content to find for this game. And like we said, there is so much in-depth strategy to this game that, if you want to find it out, definitely go show some love and start watching some of those videos. But we're going to cap it there. I got to get to my son's footy. I know Oren's got to pick his kids up. We got to get out. But as always, guys, thanks for watching. Hope you have an awesome day, and we'll look forward to seeing the next one. Cheers.